Broken Road. It was a small road in a small village, surrounded by trees, and behind those trees was the school building. If you kept walking on that road, you'd eventually reach the hospital where a doctor used to sit, prescribing bitter medicines to everyone. He never had any sweet medicines, and after taking the medicine, you had to eat sugar. But now, I don't know where that doctor is. This is a long-forgotten tale. There was nothing particularly special about that road, but I don't know why I can't forget it. Near the end of that road, there was an electricity pole. When night fell, bulbs would light up, and all the children would play under it. When it rained heavily, the road would flood, and children would bring their little boats to play in the puddles. I don't know why I remember that road, that pole. There was a boy who, perhaps even now, sits beneath that pole, gazing at the tree he used to lean against. He spent all his afternoons under that tree. He loved the village, where there was peace and tranquility. Maybe he's still looking for the money he lost on the way to school. He searched for it tirelessly, but never found it. Without the money, he couldn't go to school or back home. I don't know how many times he came and went on that road, repeatedly checking the sun to make sure it didn't set. If it did, he'd have to search for the money in the darkness. But what did the sun care? So it set, and he sat beneath the pole, frustrated. Perhaps he's still sitting there. It was just an ordinary road. That boy who couldn't come to the city with me, who lied to his own family, saying that all the birds in the trees along the road were his friends. When the other kids weren't around, the birds would come down from the trees to play with him. Everyone said it was a lie. How could it be true? So they decided to hide and watch to see if the birds really came down to play. All the boys hid in the bushes, and the boy sat beneath the tree. But the birds didn't come down. What did the birds care who he was? They never came, and all the kids laughed at him. That boy was a big liar. He used to say that he was brave and could fight with many people. After school one day, 4 boys beat him up badly, tore the buttons off his shirt, and gave him a thrashing. He searched for the buttons, but when he found them, he realized that his elbow was bleeding. He sat by the roadside, crying. Maybe he's still sitting there, crying, how could I have brought him with me? He was so stubborn, even though the village was no longer the same. It happened that a cruel landlord and his goons had taken control of the village. A dark night of tyranny had descended, and though the sun rose, it was never day. Anyone who tried to bring light was punished. Poor people were quietly leaving the village, abandoning their homes to decay. The walls and doors were crumbling, termites were eating them, and the village that used to resonate with children's laughter now echoed with sobs. Even the pole, where children used to play every evening, was sad. The road had deteriorated further, and the trees had grown taller around it. Only a few people, along with the landlord's henchmen, remained in the village, and the oppression continued. People couldn't stand up to the cruelty, and we, the poor and helpless, could do nothing. After a while, when the landlord's men came and told us to vacate our homes, we had no choice. Our belongings were packed, and the homes that were built with love were left behind. But that boy was still sitting by the broken road, where now only bushes remained. The school had closed, and the doctor who prescribed bitter medicines no longer came. But he sat there, beneath that pole, and I came to the city.